What if the key to unlocking your potential and transforming your life was already within you? Discover the science-backed strategies to build unshakable self-discipline and turn your dreams into reality. Self-discipline is the foundation of success in every area of life. Whether it's sticking to a fitness routine, resisting temptations, or staying focused on long-term goals, mastering self-discipline allows you to create the life you desire. In this audiobook, we dive into the science behind self-discipline, exploring how your brain works, why habits matter, and what steps you can take to strengthen your willpower. You'll uncover practical strategies to overcome procrastination, distractions, and impulses that stand in the way of your progress. Are you ready to unlock the mental tools to achieve anything you set your mind to? Focus points. Self-discipline is more about mindset than genes. Understand how cultivating a strong mindset can lead to better self-control. How not to waste willpower. Learn effective strategies for conserving and utilizing your willpower efficiently. Listening to our innermost dreams cultivates self-control. Discover how aligning with your true desires can enhance your discipline. We can do more than we know. Uncover the hidden potential within you and push past your limits. Simple tips to stay motivated longer. Gain practical tips to maintain motivation and focus over time. Proper networking can boost our willpower. Explore how positive social connections can reinforce your self-discipline. The core of self-discipline is strategic planning. Delve into the importance of planning for long-term success. Learning outcomes. By the end of this audiobook, you will understand how your brain influences self-discipline and how to harness its power to your advantage. Be equipped with practical tools to build and maintain strong habits that lead to success. Learn to overcome procrastination and distractions that derail progress. Develop mental toughness to push through challenges, resist temptations, and stay focused on long-term goals. Gain a clear understanding of how to balance motivation with self-discipline for sustainable success in all areas of life. Focus point 1. Self-discipline is a mindset, not a genetic trait. Self-discipline is more about cultivating the right mindset than relying on genetic factors. While some individuals may have a biological edge when it comes to self-control, true discipline is a skill that anyone can build. At its core, self-discipline enables us to make choices that align with our long-term goals, helping us avoid short-term temptations and regret. As Jocko Willink, a former Navy SEAL commander, famously said, "Discipline equals freedom." The power of willpower is that it allows us to prioritize what truly matters for our future, stay committed to our path, and eventually savor the rewards of our hard work. However, maintaining self-control in today's world is a challenge, especially when we are constantly bombarded with distractions and temptations. Take, for instance, the way supermarkets place snacks near checkout counters. After resisting the temptation to buy junk food throughout the store, shoppers are more likely to give in when they reach the register. Marketers exploit our mental fatigue, knowing that our willpower can be depleted after a series of decisions. This highlights the importance of being aware of how our brain works, especially when it comes to self-control. Many people mistakenly believe that a lack of discipline comes from laziness or disorganization, when in reality, it often stems from misconceptions about ourselves. A common stereotype is that willpower is something you're either born with or not. While self-control is linked to certain areas of the brain, such as the ventral medial prefrontal cortex and the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, it's not a guaranteed path to success. Even those with a natural predisposition for discipline can still struggle. Self-discipline is much like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes, but neglecting it can weaken your ability to control impulses. To develop a high level of self-control, you must be your own coach, managing your thoughts, motivations, and environment. This mindset isn't something that develops overnight. It takes time, patience, and consistent effort. But once achieved, it can help you unlock your full potential. By understanding these psychological principles, you can learn how to better manage your willpower and avoid falling into the traps set by marketers or other external influences. Stay tuned to discover crucial skills to strengthen your willpower and master self-discipline. Focus point 2. How to conserve and strengthen willpower. To maximize the power of self-discipline, it's crucial to understand not only its strengths but also its limitations. One of the key discoveries in the science of self-discipline is the concept of willpower depletion, introduced by psychologist Roy Baumeister in the late 1990s. His research revealed that willpower, much like physical energy, is a finite resource that can become depleted with use. In a pivotal experiment, Baumeister offered two groups of participants a choice between candies and bitter radishes. Group A had no restrictions and could eat what they wanted, while Group B was instructed to eat only the radishes. Afterward, both groups were given a challenging puzzle to solve. Group B, having spent their willpower resisting the candies, gave up on the puzzle nearly twice as quickly as Group A, highlighting how self-discipline can be exhausted. This means that if we want to use our willpower effectively, we must be mindful of how we manage it. Here are some strategies to help avoid unnecessary drains on willpower. Reduce opportunities for temptation. One of the simplest ways to conserve willpower is to limit the chances for temptation to arise. This might include creating shopping lists to avoid impulse buys, or avoiding environments like casinos or favorite bars where temptations are strong. By reducing the need to constantly resist urges, we save our willpower for more critical moments. Avoid multitasking. According to research by Professor Baba Shiv, multitasking significantly weakens self-discipline. In one of his studies, participants who were tasked with remembering a long number were 50% more likely to choose high-calorie desserts when offered than participants who were not distracted. This demonstrates that dividing attention makes us more vulnerable to indulgence. Simplifying your focus by clearing both physical and digital clutter can enhance concentration and conserve self-discipline. Manage dopamine-releasing activities. Dopamine, the brain's feel-good hormone, is a key player in forming habits and experiencing pleasure. However, activities that release dopamine, like checking social media, can become addictive distractions draining willpower. One way to manage this is to combine necessary tasks with enjoyable activities, like exercising while listening to music or podcasts. This helps you channel dopamine in productive ways, rather than letting it undermine your focus. Make healthy options the default. Human beings are wired to take the path of least resistance, so why not use this to your advantage? By making positive choices the easiest option, you conserve willpower. For example, signing out of social media or leaving your phone in another room forces you to make an extra effort to indulge in distractions. This simple change helps you stay on track without relying too much on self-discipline. Focus point 3. Listening to our innermost dreams cultivates self-control. To truly nurture self-control, we must first understand why we need willpower. While financial incentives may seem like a universal motivator, true motivation goes far beyond material rewards. Psychologists Teresa Amabile and Stephen Kramer conducted a study with 238 employees, asking them to keep a diary of their daily feelings at work. Their analysis revealed that what truly drove people to perform their best was not perks or promotions, but the sense of progress they experienced. Surprisingly, 95% of managers in a related study underestimated this key factor. When it comes to motivation, there are two broad categories: extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic motivators include outward rewards like status, recognition, and the desire to avoid failure or rejection. These are often driven by the need for validation from others and the pursuit of dopamine-seeking activities. Intrinsic motivators, on the other hand, come from within and are driven by personal satisfaction and internal fulfillment, regardless of others' opinions. Some common intrinsic motivators include autonomy. The freedom to make decisions and express oneself creatively is a powerful motivator. For example, illustrators who are free to interpret a story without rigid guidelines tend to be more driven and productive than those who are constrained by detailed instructions. Mastery. The pursuit of lifelong learning and the satisfaction of improving one's skills pushes people to work harder. Seeing tangible progress in our abilities motivates us to keep striving. Purpose. A sense of meaning is a fundamental human craving. When we have a clear purpose, we can overcome challenges and maintain focus even when external rewards are absent. Peter Hollins emphasizes that true success is linked to internal motivation. When we channel our energy toward fulfilling our inner calling, we stop trying to prove ourselves to others and focus on what genuinely matters to us. If our goals feel uninspiring, Hollins recommends using the 10x rule developed by Grant Cardone. This principle suggests that we should multiply our goals and efforts by 10. For example, instead of aiming to save $20,000, we should aim for $200,000. By raising our aspirations, we force ourselves to grow and put in 10 times the effort needed to achieve those goals. This approach may seem overwhelming at first, but it's exactly what we need to break through the mental barriers that hold us back. Many of the limits we face exist only in our minds, and if we created them, we have the power to dismantle them. Aiming higher can unlock new levels of self-control and motivation, helping us achieve more than we ever thought possible. Focus point 4. We can do more than we know. To fully exercise self-discipline, we can learn valuable lessons from people whose lives depend on it, the U.S. Navy SEALs. As the Navy's elite Special Operations Force, SEALs train to operate in extreme environments, from dense jungles to freezing Arctic conditions. While joining their ranks requires exceptional physical and mental skills, the true challenge is completing their rigorous training. This process demands not just talent, but a specific mindset. One of the most powerful principles taught in SEAL training is the 40% rule. It suggests that when people feel completely exhausted, whether physically or emotionally, they've only tapped into 40% of their potential. Pushing beyond that limit requires self-belief and the ability to remind oneself that more is possible, even when the mind says otherwise. Few of us realize just how much potential we have. Modern life, with its conveniences and comfort, rarely challenges us to test our limits. As a result, we often don't know what we are truly capable of. However, simply believing we can do more is the first step toward unlocking untapped potential. Consider the placebo effect as evidence of this. In multiple studies, patients reported relief from pain after taking what they believed were painkillers. In reality, they had consumed sugar pills or vitamins, neither of which could relieve pain on their own. Their belief in the treatment's power was enough to bring about a positive change. The 40% rule doesn't suggest that we need to see ourselves as superheroes. Instead, it encourages us to start small and gradually push our boundaries. For instance, when feeling fatigued, we can persuade ourselves to write one more paragraph before resting or complete 1 or 2 more push-ups when we feel like stopping. Each time we push a little further, our limits expand, and before long, we'll find that we can accomplish far more than we initially believed. A practical example of this mindset is the box breathing technique, popularized by former Navy SEAL Mark Devine. This technique, which helps calm the mind and tap into self-control, involves 4 simple steps. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold the breath for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and hold again for 4 seconds. This breathing method can help us stay composed under pressure and push through mental and physical barriers. Focus point 5. Simple tips to stay motivated longer. To maximize our chances of success, we can leverage scientific findings on willpower to meet our everyday needs. For instance, researchers have found that marathon runners often complete the last mile of the race faster than previous segments. This phenomenon might seem counterintuitive since they are undoubtedly fatigued by that point. However, it's rooted in the goal proximity principle. As runners get closer to their goal, their motivation surges, enabling them to exert greater effort. So, how can we apply this principle in our lives? One effective strategy is to set clear milestones along the journey to our larger dreams. By tracking our progress toward each milestone, we can experience a motivational boost that helps conserve our willpower and keep us on track. High achievers often stay informed about the latest discoveries in psychology and neuroscience, integrating these insights into their daily routines. Here are some additional principles that can enhance our self-discipline. Parkinson's Law. Historian Cyril Parkinson observed that bureaucratic workers tend to take as much time as they are allotted to complete a task. The more time given, the longer it takes to finish. This concept can be applied broadly, suggesting that instead of prolonging our tasks unnecessarily, we should set strict deadlines for ourselves. By doing so, we can work more efficiently and finish tasks sooner. The endowed progress effect. In one study, customers at a car wash were given different loyalty cards. One group received cards with 8 empty spaces for stamps, while another group had cards with 10 spaces, 2 of which were already stamped. Although both groups needed 8 washes to earn a free car wash, the group with the partially filled cards visited the car wash more frequently. This effect illustrates that our motivation can increase when we feel like we're not starting from scratch. Therefore, when embarking on a new endeavor, it's helpful to recognize any advantages we may already have. For instance, if we want to learn to play the violin, Past experience with the cello or even familiarity with musical notes can be seen as progress that propels us forward. Effort-based thinking. It's essential to accept that we cannot control every outcome. Despite our best efforts, we may not always achieve the results we desire. To prevent disappointment, we should shift our focus to the efforts we've made and look for opportunities to replicate those actions under more favorable conditions. By valuing our efforts, we can maintain motivation even when the results are not as expected. Focus point 6. Proper networking can boost our willpower. Our social environment plays a crucial role in shaping our self-discipline and willpower. Research indicates that our brains operate similarly when reflecting on ourselves and our close friends or family members. This suggests that we naturally absorb the behaviors and attitudes of those around us. When we are surrounded by positive influences, such as friends who demonstrate self-control and healthy habits, our willpower is strengthened. Conversely, negative influences can diminish it. For instance, studies reveal that individuals with obese friends are nearly twice as likely to struggle with excess weight themselves. This highlights the importance of being mindful about who we associate with and how much time we spend with them. However, we can also view this data from a more constructive angle. If we know someone who faces similar challenges, we have the opportunity to form a supportive alliance in our journey toward self-improvement. For example, we might choose to exercise together, which not only makes the process more enjoyable, but also holds us accountable. To amplify the benefits of this partnership, we should celebrate even the smallest signs of progress with one another. Research from the University of Pittsburgh shows that having supportive partners can increase the likelihood of maintaining weight loss from 24% to an impressive 66%. This statistic underscores the power of social support in achieving our goals. While rewarding ourselves for our achievements is important, it is crucial that we do not succumb to temptations that can derail our progress. Even if our friends are not particularly generous with compliments, collaborating with them can still enhance our performance. The simple act of knowing that others are observing us can motivate us to push ourselves harder during workouts. Additionally, the prospect of disappointing those who expect us to show up for a training session can be a strong deterrent against skipping it. We can also utilize technology such as fitness apps to share our training results online, fostering a sense of accountability to our friends and encouraging consistent effort. Interestingly, sharing our goals with others can have a counterproductive effect. According to Professor Peter Gallwitzer's research, individuals who keep their aspirations private are more likely to achieve them. The reason behind this is that receiving praise for our plans can create a false sense of accomplishment, making us feel as if we have already succeeded before even starting, which undermines our self-discipline. Moreover, we can be our own worst enemies in this regard. While it's perfectly fine to acknowledge our achievements, we must be careful not to use them as justifications for relaxing our efforts. A study from the University of Chicago illustrates this concept. Participants on a diet who learned about their weight loss were more than 80% likely to reward themselves with indulgent snacks like chocolate, rather than healthier options like apples. Pro tip: having a role model can also serve as an effective motivational tool. By observing someone who has successfully navigated similar challenges, we can draw inspiration and guidance for our own journeys. This adds another layer of accountability and motivation, helping us to maintain our willpower and stay on track toward our goals. Focus point 7. The core of self-discipline is strategic planning. At the heart of self-discipline lies the ability to think strategically over the long term. This quality is a double-edged sword. It can serve as both an invaluable asset and a significant challenge. On one hand, long-term thinking acts as our guiding light, much like the North Star, steering us through the tumultuous waters of daily life and its myriad challenges. On the other hand, it can also create frustration, as the rewards of our efforts may take years to materialize. Therefore, it is essential for us to keep reminding ourselves of the reasons behind our resistance to immediate temptations and the ultimate goals we are working toward. Research indicates that our brains process future outcomes similarly, regardless of whether we are contemplating our own future or that of others. We often struggle to establish an emotional connection with our future selves, especially if we think of ourselves 10 years down the line, which complicates our willingness to forego present pleasures for future gains. However, this cognitive principle has an upside. When we can vividly envision our future, we are much more inclined to invest in it. For example, a study involving virtual reality, VR, participants demonstrated this phenomenon. Players who interacted with avatars that represented their older selves were significantly more likely to choose to invest $1,000 in a pension account compared to those who played with their current likeness. This highlights the power of visualization. We can enhance our ability to make long-term decisions by using aging apps or simply asking ourselves how our choices will affect us in 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 days, and even 10 years. While fears often stand in the way of our opportunities, we can harness our willpower to push ourselves out of our comfort zones. Practicing self-discipline may not be the easiest choice, but it is certainly the most effective one. If we continually stick to familiar paths and give in to temptations, we find ourselves trapped in a cycle that keeps us from moving toward our goals. Although stepping outside our comfort zone can feel daunting, the potential benefits are substantial. The story of entrepreneur Jia Jiang illustrates this point perfectly. Jiang recognized that his fear of rejection was a barrier to his success, so he devised an innovative 100-day program to confront this fear head-on. In his TED Talk, he shares how he approached strangers with outrageous requests, such as borrowing large sums of money. Each rejection he faced bolstered his confidence and resolve. When it came time for him to pursue his lifelong aspiration of becoming a professor, he did not let 2 rejections from the University of Texas deter him. On his 3rd attempt, he successfully landed the position he desired. It's important to note that everyone grapples with different fears, insecurities, and discomforts. Many people navigate life by avoiding these challenges, which ultimately limits their potential. As Peter Hollins wisely states, confronting our fears is essential for unlocking our true capabilities and achieving our goals. By embracing strategic planning and pushing through discomfort, we can cultivate the self-discipline necessary to reach our full potential. Conclusion: the choice between taking the easy route or the necessary path is a fundamental aspect of shaping our personal and professional lives. Although this decision-making process can be daunting, cultivating self-discipline empowers us to make the right choices. However, nurturing this discipline is the first step toward achieving our goals. Many individuals equate willpower with relentless self-pushing, often leading to burnout and frustration. Instead, we should view willpower as a muscle that can be strengthened through training. By shifting our focus from self-blame to understanding what bolsters or undermines our self-discipline, we can better manage our energy and become high achievers. It's also crucial to recognize that progress is a gradual process. Our lives are influenced by a myriad of factors: social expectations, the behaviors of those around us, and psychological traumas, to name a few. Navigating these influences requires effort and self-awareness. Therefore, we must remember that self-control is a journey. Setting milestones and acknowledging even the smallest achievements can make this journey more manageable and rewarding. To help us stay on the right track, we can ask ourselves the following questions. Are we fully aware of the choices we make? Do we have a clear understanding of our goals? What are the primary drainers of our willpower? And how can we reduce their impact? Which strategies for enhancing self-control work best for us? By addressing these questions, we can gradually form new habits that will sustain our willpower over time. To cultivate self-discipline and maximize your potential, consider these actionable strategies. Minimize distractions. Start by limiting the most frequent distractions in your life, such as turning off notifications from social media platforms. Visualize your future. Take a moment to envision yourself in 10 years. What achievements would you like to have, and what kind of person do you aspire to become? Use these dreams to establish concrete goals. Investigate self-sabotage. Dive deep into the reasons behind any self-sabotaging thoughts or behaviors. Instead of labeling yourself as lazy, seek to understand why certain activities fail to inspire you. This insight can lead to more effective strategies for motivation. The journey through the science of self-discipline has illuminated the profound impact that understanding and nurturing willpower can have on our lives. Each of the topics covered is not just theoretical. They are practical tools that can lead to meaningful change in our personal and professional endeavors. Thank you for taking the time to engage with this audiobook. Your interest in developing self-discipline is commendable and sets the foundation for your success. If you found this content valuable, please like, subscribe, and share the audiobook with others who may benefit from it. Listening to audiobooks like this one is not just a way to gain knowledge. It's also an excellent method for improving your English language skills. Remember, the more you listen, the better you speak. Together, let's continue on this journey of self-improvement and mastery. Thank you for joining me.